what you heard about me.
Let's see if it's working. Hello, hello. Okay, the audio's coming in good. Oh, whoa. Whoa, whoa. Okay, we're live, baby. We are fucking live. This song slaps, bro. I hope I don't get taken down for this song, but this song is just always a classic banger. I think I'm gonna make this the intro song, if I can get away with it. When you're alone and you need a friend, someone to make you forget your problems. This song just is timeless, bro. Timeless. I grew up listening to that shit. So, today's live stream, first I'll pull up the fucking thing. I think I'm gonna make this the intro song. Okay. We got one viewer. That's me, baby. I'm the only viewer. So, these are fucking gay, bro. What am I even doing with these fucking live streams? Nobody wants to fucking hear me talk. So, today we're going to talk about why things are the way they are in the fucking world. And, I wish I could listen to fucking music while I do this. But, we'll talk about that. Why are things the way that they are? So, or do I even want to fucking talk about that? That's why it's nice to have people in the fucking chat right when I start. But, alright. So actually, I'll talk about my fucking day. So, been fucking hitting hard, dude. Hitting it hard. 10 sets of 10 on those leg days. Don't need a lot of fucking weight. But you feel fucking good, dude. Sun's coming out. I've been riding my bike everywhere. My shitty fucking 1990s bike. But it's better than all the fucking the electric bikes, dude. Everybody has electric bikes now. Everybody has electric bikes. We're already in the fucking movie WALL-E. It's fucking wild. Everybody's walking around with their fucking vapes. Everybody's walking around with their fucking vapes and their goddamn fucking electric bikes. Everything's motorized when they're fucking ChatGPT. I sound like a fucking boomer right now, and it's great. Technology's great. But goddamn, dude. Goddamn. There's almost nothing that makes you feel better than waking up at a decent time when you don't have to. Taking some pre-workout, riding your bike in the sun to the gym. And on the way to the gym, you pass a lake, pass some beautiful trees. Get to the gym, hit a 45-minute leg day with like no breaks in between. Getting a good sweat going, and then biking home. After that, bro, it's like an hour and a half long process, and you're just primed and fucking locked in and ready for the day. Anyway, let's talk about why the world is the way that it is. Because I feel like there's a lot of different shit going on in the world. There's a lot of fucking different voices. There's a lot of people out there saying a bunch of different things, and people don't know who to trust. And it is kind of mind-boggling because you're like, why is everything the way that it fucking is? What led up to where we're at? And I'm not the smartest guy in the fucking world, but I've done a lot of research in my day. And don't listen to everything that I say like it's gospel. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. But my worldview is comprised mostly, it's religious. I have a Christian-based worldview. And I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not a theologian. What I'm good at doing is looking at life through the perspective of a retarded person. Because I am a fucking retard. So I like to look at everything through a lens of retardation. Easy, simple. Getting into nuance sometimes is fun. I digress. So why is everything the way that it is? Why do I think it is the way that it is? So life started. I don't think it was the fucking Big Bang. If it was the Big Bang, then God did it. Right? We have to. I believe that there has to be some sort of God. I don't believe that we're here for no reason. Move forward. We'll jump. I'm not going to get into the Apocrypha. I'm not going to get into the Book of Enoch, the Watchers, and all that fun stuff. But I might actually fuck it. So God made people, right? God made people. And God had angels watch over people. And then those angels eventually, as it seems, they might have had their own element of free will as well. But, and don't, I'm not, like I said, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Every single thing I say with a grain of salt. Don't listen to anything I say. I'm doing this mostly for my own entertainment. And there was angels who were watching humans. And of course, women are sexy, right? Everybody, even gay men like women. Dogs, gay men, everybody loves women. Women love women. Okay, that's why a girl being a lesbian is like, yeah, good for you. Okay, everybody thinks women are hot. Stop being so fucking selfish. Okay, leave some women for the rest of us. So, angels were like, man, God created women and those women are really sexy. So they slept with those women. And of course, well, what is a human going to be able to do to compete with an angel, right? Talk about looks maxing, you know? Talk about height mogging. Talk about all that shit. I mean, what is a guy going to be able to do to compete with an angel? Probably fucking nothing. These guys were like 100 feet tall, probably. Could pick any form. Had all power. And I bet they were just smooth as hell. So we couldn't really compete. Angels ended up sleeping with human beings, creating the Nephilim. Right? Blah, 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 blah. Earth was going to shit. And see, I'm kind of retarded. I'm figuring this out as I go too. Okay. And then that was the pre-Adamic civilization. And you still have Nephilim, you still have all this stuff going around. God created Adam and Eve. Okay. And then Adam and Eve had 2 kids, Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel. But there are those who believe that Cain, well, there's a bloodline of Cain, right? Not those that believe, but you have the bloodline of Cain, and then you have the bloodline of Abel. Cain kills Abel, and then you have Adam and Eve having a third son named Seth. Seth means placeholder. It also is, that's my name, right? Pretty cool. But basically just placeholder. Also, it could be from the god Osiris. So, Osiris is also pronounced as Seth, or Set. Anyway, so you have all that crap. And then you have 2 distinct bloodlines that are created. You have the bloodline of Cain, and then you have the bloodline of Abel. Okay? And then you have the bloodline of Seth, which I'm not too familiar with. And I'm not too familiar with most of this shit. I'm just going to do like a really kind of a rough surface level fucking view of everything. History of the world, in a way. You have Cain, Abel, those 2 bloodlines. Obviously, the bloodline of Cain were shitheads, okay? Murderous shitheads. If you have, that's why being a stepfather can sometimes be a massive pain in the ass, because genetics are actually really important. And when we talk about genetics, it makes sense for animals. But for some reason, the moment you start trying to apply that to people, as a rational human being would, people start going crazy. People start getting offended because they're retarded, because they have so much cognitive dissonance in their mind. And they've been indoctrinated so much that they have this worldview. And anytime something pierces this worldview that they've created, they get very violent because they don't want their worldview to die, because they're so attached to it. Anyway, so you have the bloodline. Anyway, so with animals, we look at them and we're like, okay, if you want a good hunting dog, if you want a good retriever, a dog that's good at retrieving, what are you going to do? You're not going to get a pit bull. You're not getting a pit bull. Anytime somebody says it's the owner, they're dumb and they actually haven't thought this through. They're fucking retarded people. And their parents are probably retarded too. And then their parents were also probably retarded. So, as you know, genetics. They're just the retard breed of human beings, and some of these people can never change because it's not always about the trainer, the owner, the environment. Sometimes these people just have fuck ass genetics. So, if you want a retriever, you get a retriever. If you want a good bird hunting dog, you get a dog that's good for bird hunting. Anyway, so Cain, shithead bloodline. Abel, good bloodline. And then you have those 2 bloodlines basically populating the entire world, creating different types of people. And in the Bible, the bloodline of Abel and then the bloodline of Cain were at odds pretty much the entire time. You have Sodom, you have Gomorrah. Okay, those were the bloodline of Cain. All of these different immoral and shithead societies came from the bloodline of Cain. And then you have Abel, which Jesus was born from. You have these more righteous societies. So a lot of the Bible was mostly just and God chose the Jews, not the Jews. Okay, God chose the people of Israel, the tribe of Israel. There's 12 tribes, but God chose that specific group of people because one reason is they came from good people and he wanted to secure a bloodline. So he didn't choose them because it wasn't like, wow, you people are so amazing and you people are so special that we're going to choose you, that I'm going to choose you. No, he's like, I'm choosing you, therefore you are special. And this is what the Jews of today can't get through their head. This is why worldviews and paradigms are so massively important, because a change of perspective that way can completely change how a culture operates. And in a change like that can completely change how the world operates. Okay? But God didn't choose them because you're amazing, I choose you. It's you are amazing because I chose you. Does that make sense? So people have it wrong these days. So he chose them, and he's protecting them not because of anything that they're doing, but because he needs to secure a bloodline for Jesus. And that's why there was a lot of the wars, and that's why there was a lot of chaos in the Old Testament, is because just like if you read the New Testament, all of these things happen. All of these negative things happen that must happen to fulfill prophecy, like Jesus getting crucified, all of the trials and tribulations that he goes through. All of those things are just par for the course. So is violence. So is death. Okay, if somebody's threatening the bloodline of Jesus, or what must happen to fulfill prophecy, then what are you going to do? You're going to protect those people. Okay. So that's what the Old Testament mostly was. Securing that bloodline for Jesus. And so John the Baptist, all that fun stuff. So he can come and start preparing the ground for Jesus' return. And to create a people with the law, to create a fertile ground, fertile soil for a people and an environment that was ready to accept Jesus. That's what the Old Testament can't be read in isolation. You have to read the Old Testament through the perspective of the New Testament. So why was all that happening? It was happening to prepare the way for Jesus Christ to come. Okay? And another thing. People think, oh, it doesn't even make sense. Like I said, I'm talking, this is for retarded people, including myself. Why would that whole religious thing? It's all crazy. It's like, that doesn't even make sense, bro. You guys are just reading. No, everything does make sense, okay? God is a just God. God is a God of laws and rules. So what he does is when he makes a rule, he doesn't break it. Okay? And the wages of sin are death. Right? The wage of every single sin is death. So in the Old Testament, what they did to compensate for that, right? If you sinned, something had to die. So they did animal sacrifices. Okay, so they would sacrifice animals. Fast forward, Jesus coming, that was the ultimate sacrifice. And one of the big problems that Jesus had, that everybody had, or that the biggest problem with what happened to the Jews was the fact that they became so obsessed with the law. Okay, the physical circumcision, all these different outward signs of their devotion to God. It became almost like an ego battle. It became about them. Okay, it became about them. They were God's chosen people. They make the laws. They started worshiping themselves. Okay, does that make sense? They started worshiping themselves, and they still do that to this day. Nothing changed. So the Jews started to worship themselves through the law. It was about, okay, I can, look at me, look how great I am. I can do all of these things. I can, and you see it today. And you see it in their Talmud. You see it in their Like if you go, okay, so for fucking instance, bro, if you want to know the most Jewy thing ever, it says on the Sabbath that you're not able to go outside and traverse from like point A to point B. You have to be inside. You can't fucking work. So what does the Jew do? What did the Jews do of this time? Because they think they're so special. It's not that these people are just like, I'm not saying this out in a vacuum. Like these people are fucked up because of thousands of years of narcissism, an echo chamber, incest, and all of these different collating factors. It's not just, yo, fuck the Jews. It's not low IQ anti-Semitism. And this is high IQ anti-Semitism, okay? You can get into this shit I can get into why I'm anti-Semitic for hours, okay? Don't call me a fucking low IQ anti-Semite. A simulation cannot exist without format and a host. Okay, I'm going to get back to what I was just saying, but what he just said. Physicists spout the rhetoric that life is a simulation. A simulation can exist without a format and a host. Exact same principle of humanity and existence being all by God's design. Okay, I'm going to get into that real quick. So anytime some retard, pseudo-intellectual wants to say that we're in a simulation, they are literally fucking idiots. Okay, because a simulation implies that we are simulating something. You can't just say we're in a simulation. If you go into a flight sim, what is the flight sim simulating? It is simulating flying. So if we are in a and it also, guess what? A simulation implies that somebody created it with an intention, a purpose. The purpose of that flight sim is to simulate flight and to train you. Okay? So yes, we do live in a simulation. That is intelligent design, but those retards can't think deep enough to understand that when people say, bro, we live in a simulation, these Rick and Morty intellectuals who smoke weed all the time and smell like fucking Fromunda cheese, okay, and smell like mildew, and have fucking lint all over their fucking clothes, and who wear low quality materials, okay, these idiots will say something because they're so stupid. Like, oh, life is a simulation. It's like, do you understand what the fuck you're saying? Do you understand that when you say life is a simulation, you're saying in a more retarded way that we were created by a God, an intelligent designer, and we were here for a purpose. That is even, the way they say it is even low. It's even lower IQ than somebody saying God made everything, because that person isn't even smart enough to understand that's what they're saying. Yeah, I don't reject the term anti-Semite. You know, I will embrace that, because what the fuck else? Like, I'm not going to sit here and change the English. I'm not going to sit here and be like blah blah. I mean, the thing is, it should just, the fact that they have their own word for it shows just another level of elitism on the side of the Jews. Like, they're like, this is how special the Jews are. And this is just so fucking, it's so funny, bro. The Jews think they're so special that they literally had to come up with another word for people hating them. They have the word racism for everybody else. And then they have to pick the word anti-Semitism for them because they're so fucking special. If you want to insult a Jew, just say, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm just racist. What makes you special? You know, you're just another race. Even that's why people say, oh, it's not all Jews. It's not all Jews. It's like, yeah, it kind of fucking is. Okay, it's not every Jew like the babies, and that's not what I'm saying. But it's in the entire Jewish people and it's Jewish identity, because you don't have to be a religious Jew. Like, anti-Semitism applies to everybody who is of Jewish descent or religion, basically. No, of Jewish descent, or of Semitic descent. But you understand what I'm saying. They all think, even if they're not religious Jews, they all think they're so special. They all think they're different from everybody else. When they look at the world, they look at it through a, like, instead of like a heliocentric model, they look at it through a Jewish-centric model. That's how all Jews look at the world and life and existence, and they go about their daily life. They don't have empathy. They don't think empathy is real. They aren't capable of having empathy with us like we are with other people, because they don't view us like they view themselves. They view that they have a Jew-centric, they believe they are the sun. They believe that they are the bringers of basically life to the fucking world. They believe they're God's chosen people. Okay. And they don't believe, even if they're not religious Jews, they believe this. From an early age, from birth, they're told this. They're all, every single one of them is completely indoctrinated into this mindset. And just because they don't claim to be religiously Jewish or pro-Zionist does not mean that all of their thoughts and all of their experiences and beliefs up until whatever point weren't a manifestation of that, or the entire world got put through that filter. You understand what I'm saying? So people want to say like, oh, that's crazy. Like you really have to fucking open your mind when you think about the Jews or when you think about the people who were in power over us. You have to open up your mind. Just like people say, you can't imagine how God thinks. It's like, maybe I can, because he tells us how he thinks in the Bible. Okay. But I digress. It's the way, unless you choose to open up your mind and be entirely open-minded and entirely curious and rigorously curious and an ardent pursuer of truth, you will not be able to put yourself in the shoes of the people who are in power over us or the Jews, specifically those two groups. And the reason why I single out those two groups is because those two groups, the people who are in power over us and the Jews, come from lines of people who believe that they are better than everybody and who see everybody else as less than them. The people, the elites, what people want to say the elites, they have an elitist mindset from the day that they're born. These guys are born into millionaires, into millionaire classes, into billionaire classes. They're all Nepo babies. Us going throughout our daily life and how we look at people and the thoughts that go through our mind are not at all the thoughts or anything that go through these people's minds. It's not even one and the same. Like you're thinking, like the thoughts that go through your head aren't even close to the thoughts that go through their head. Think about the thoughts that went through your head just 5 years ago, just 10 years, when you were a child. Okay, are they anything like the thoughts that go through your head now? They might be a little bit because you're the same person, but they're probably entirely different because you've had a bunch of different experiences. Now imagine that big of a gap, if not bigger. Just a completely different category of thoughts between yourself and these people anyway. So you think in spans of money. Oh, they're bringing immigrants in because of money. They're doing this. The Jews are just like everybody else. No, they're not. Okay? They are not like everybody else. These people in power are not like everybody else. They all have a deep-rooted narcissism and a worldview that is centered around them. And their thoughts have never been like yours since the day they were born. Never. Okay? Remember that. That's very critical to remember. We're not all the same. So, simulation theory has this, Gnosticism is for gay losers. It's for dweebs. I've looked into Gnosticism is just it's just for absolute fucking dweebs and trannies, dude. Anytime you meet a tranny, they're a Gnostic. So, anyway, back to the Jews. Everything kind of comes back to them, okay? So God created Satan. God created, and I'm going to get into a little bit of esoteric philosophy, maybe a little bit of Kabbalah, okay? Just bear with me here. It's going to get a little bit kooky. But every action has an opposite and equal reaction. A cunning parasite. That is not literally what they are, but that is how the manifestation of that is a good way to explain the manifestation of their actions. Okay. Anyway, so God created the world. He created everything. Okay. You cannot have energy be created or destroyed in a closed system. When I am in the fourth dimension, never been there. Okay. But if you were theoretically in the fourth dimension and you were to create a third dimension, that third dimensional object would appear to have edges. Okay, it would appear to have edges. If I created a 3D ball, I can see the edges. I can see a clear outline. That is our dimension, a three-dimensional object. God is of a higher dimension. So when he created our dimension, what we see as linear time, what we see as infinite, our dimension, is not infinite to him. And as you approach the edges of that dimension, or as you approach, just like number line theory, as you approach, when you're in the number line from 1 to 10, when I am in that line between these two, between 1 and 10, okay, think about what I'm saying here. Between 1 and 10, that 1 could be the edge, one of the different edges of our universe, of our dimension. 10 is the other edge of our dimension. As you get closer to the edges, you don't actually end up ever touching the edge. It's mathematically impossible to get to the end of that number line by dividing distance. And that's what you do when you travel from one end to the other, from this end of the dimension to the other end of the dimension. Traveling, that's what traveling is, moving. By moving, mathematically, it is impossible to actually touch the edge of that number line, also our dimension. So when people say the universe is ever expanding, the universe is not ever expanding. What it is everything is ever compressing the closer you get. We don't live in an ever expanding universe. There is not actually infinity. It just, the closer we get to the edge of the universe, you're just compressing the distance. The increments just get smaller, if that makes any sense, which to some people this will make sense. So that is kind of a broad overview. And also, matter cannot be created or destroyed in this closed system. And to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. These are all laws. These are all the laws, simulation. These are all the laws in the simulation, okay? In the world that God has created. And you can't break these laws because God is a just God. God doesn't break the laws of the world that he's created. Okay, if you make rules, what would a just God do? He would follow the rules. He would lead by example, and that's what he does. He made us in his image, okay? So, he does not break these rules. So how does that explain why everything is the way that it is? Why did God create Satan? Well, because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Friction is a constant. Two opposing forces is what holds everything in place. You must have friction. Every action has an opposite and equal reaction. Happiness has sadness. Without sadness, without negativity, you would not have positivity. It is a given rule. So that's why anytime somebody, and that's why it also says in the Bible, you must take the good with the bad. God has done everything. And this is why I don't like Protestant services, okay? I don't like Protestant services because when people go up there, they talk about a testimony. Hey guys, look at all of the good things. What they do is that they isolate all of the good things that have happened in their life. And then they use that not to glorify God, but to glorify themselves. They say, I am so special and favored in God's eyes, and this is what the Jews did. I am so special and favored in God's eyes. I look at all of the good things that he's done to us. But do you know what God says in the Bible? He says, you'll not know me by the blessings, but by the curses I put upon you, by your punishments. You will know me by my punishments. You'll know that I am God. He says that multiple times in the Old Testament. That's a lot of the Old Testament. He's like, because he's humbling these people, because they're not seeing the whole picture anyway. So people go to church, these Protestant churches, and they're like, oh, look at my testimony. These young, stupid people and women, okay, women shouldn't be talking in church at all. Literally not allowed to say one word in church, ever, okay? So you're in this church, and these young, impressionable people want to be viewed as highly favored by God, and they want to view themselves as highly favored by God. So they go up there and they just basically blow smoke up their own ass saying, hey, God loves me so much. Look at this. He cured my mom of cancer. Like, you know what he also did? He also gave your mom cancer. Okay, you are creating this false idea of God by picking certain attributes, certain actions that he's done, and saying this is God. But you're missing the whole Venn diagram here. You're picking one part of the Venn diagram. And you're like, this is God. It's like, no, this is God. That whole picture is God. You're picking one little piece of the puzzle. So Protestantism is just an absolute farce. If you need any other examples, I can give them to you, but that is just one small example. And that's why when I go to these church services, I just want to throw up. I'm like, it is so disingenuous, so pretentious, and it's so gay. It's all so fake and gay, every bit of it. So anyway, I digress once again. You have the world as it is, positives and negatives. God had to create Satan. Not had to. Okay, he didn't have to do anything. But God created Satan. What is Satan? Satan is the opposite. Satan gives us temptation. Satan, in him was born iniquity. Okay? I don't think it makes sense. Obviously, people say, I mean, a lot of Jay Dyer. I love Jay Dyer out there. I'm not extremely versed in Christian theology. I'm just using my retard mind to comprehend this. And I'm sure I'm wrong about a lot of things, but this is how I understand it. Okay, in Satan was born iniquity. God created everything. Nothing can be created or destroyed in a closed system. Okay, it's just is what it is. God doesn't break the rules. So therefore, by proxy, God had to have created iniquity. And he doesn't do anything by accident. Everything makes sense. People say, oh, I don't understand the workings of God. It's like, that's just because you're not open-minded enough. Okay, that's because you're just not open-minded enough. If you couldn't understand the workings of God, you wouldn't have had all these different ecumenical councils. You wouldn't have Christianity. Right? God didn't try to create, God didn't want to be not understood. Okay, he created us to love him, essentially. And if he put himself as this absolute mysterious being that is beyond comprehension, that's Islam, that's Buddhism, that's all of these different things. But no, God came down to us in the form of Jesus Christ. If he didn't want to be relatable, he wouldn't have structured everything the way that he structured everything and done everything the way that he did. Now, I'm not saying that I am God or I'm God-like, but I'm saying that if he didn't want us to try to comprehend him, he wouldn't have given us curiosity, and he wouldn't have made his world consistent. He wouldn't have coded in everything laws, immutable laws, okay, that can be picked up, patterns that can be recognized. You can understand more than you think. You just have to not be retarded. So, he creates Satan, and evil and good working together is perfection. Death is perfect. People think that people want to portray this thing like, oh, the world has to be what I want it to be for it to be perfect. A perfect life, what does heaven look like to me? Perfect. You know what heaven looks like? Probably a lot of war, okay? Probably looks like war. I mean, there's a spiritual battle at all times going on. The only difference between here and there would probably be the flesh. You wouldn't have this disconnect between the spirit and the flesh. You wouldn't be at war internally. But that doesn't mean exterior conflict won't exist. Anyway. So Satan is here for a purpose. I'm not saying we should venerate Satan. We shouldn't. But God put Satan here for a reason. So we shouldn't be sitting here hating Satan. Okay? We shouldn't be like, oh, fuck Satan. He's God's creation, isn't he? We should forgive him. Okay? Doesn't mean we should worship him, because we absolutely shouldn't. But Satan wasn't this absolutely retarded individual. Everyone says, oh, this is God's plan. It's God's plan. You cannot escape God's plan. People say God's plan is this. No, you fucking idiot. God's plan is everything that happens. Everything that happens is a part of God's plan. It doesn't matter if you choose left or right. You're going to choose one of them. And guess what? During the beginning of time, the inception of time, when God created everything, at the same time, the past, present, and future, he created everything as it is. So we're viewing bits and pieces of this progression on a linear time period. He created everything, and he did it all at once. So you can't escape. He's not existing linearly like us, being like, oh, he's not doing that, okay? He already did it. You already made the decision that you're going to make, no matter what decision that you make. And this is why I don't necessarily believe in free will. I think we have freedom of choice, but I don't think we have free will in what people think, what the masses think free will is. Okay, I think only God has free will because he has unlimited choices. I think we have freedom of choice. I think we have a very constrained free will. The choices that are presented to us, we have a free will to choose between the choices. God has total free will. He did create us in his image. He didn't mirror us. We're not mirroring him, though. So, Satan chooses to rebel against God. God knew he was going to do that. God made him to do that. Okay? God made Satan to rebel against him. Just like every action needs an opposite and equal reaction. That all needed to happen for us to be able to love him. Because without Satan, we would not actually be able to love God. I'm not saying we should appreciate Satan, because in the end, it's all because of God. But that's what the purpose of Satan was to bring forth friction into the world. And only by overcoming friction is anything admirable, is anything impressive. That is the only time anything is impressive, is in the overcoming of friction. And how much friction you overcame directly correlates to how impressive and admirable it was. That's why there is nothing more admirable, nothing more beautiful, nothing more impressive than sacrifice. To sacrifice yourself for a brother. Okay? And that is not to say that sacrificing in general, shooting yourself in the fucking head, okay, is the most admirable thing ever. Okay, because obviously what this sacrifice is pushed into is very important. But the act of sacrifice in and of itself is the highest of things, because we are naturally selfish people. Naturally selfish. There is nothing harder than to forego one's desires. That is the highest form of sacrifice. That is that's the hardest thing ever. For no reward whatsoever, for no earthly reward, to selflessly give yourself to something is the hardest thing you can possibly do. And that is why it is the most admirable thing you can possibly do. Because it is the most friction. There is the most friction involved, because it is so fucking hard. And that is why it's so admirable to love God and to give yourself to him, because not only are you giving yourself in sacrifice, and I don't do this, by the way, but I can recognize what is admirable. To give yourself to have faith in something and to give yourself to something, those are two extremely hard things to do. The hardest things to do ever. And so that is why it's the most beautiful thing. And if it wasn't for Satan coming into this earth, bringing forth iniquity, making Adam and Eve, giving them temptation, we wouldn't have any of this. So we shouldn't appreciate Satan, because you should be distasteful toward evil, but you should still recognize things as they are. There can be two things true at once. You can look at the world and recognize what it is and detach emotions from it. Okay. You can detach your emotions from the truth. The truth does not beget emotions. It is just the truth is. Okay. You shouldn't have an emotional reaction to the truth. If you have an emotional reaction to the truth, you are gay. Okay, you're gay. So, I believe that's what the Jews are here for. Friction. The Jews were here to bring about Jesus Christ, to secure a bloodline. And guess what? After Jesus died physically and was resurrected, what was the purpose of the Jews? The purpose of the Jews, because this isn't by accident, God could have stopped it, right? God could have stopped them from killing Jesus, but they didn't. He didn't, because it be what it is, man. It be what it is, and it just be what it is. Know what I'm saying? You have them killing Jesus from the Jews or Judeans. Okay, I can see the chats going. I already know people are going to get the Jews. Actually, he was Judean. He spoke Aramaic. Okay. He spoke Aramaic, and he wasn't actually Jewish. He was born in Bethlehem, which was actually in Nazareth. That's why they were originally called Nazarenes, and then they weren't called Christians until like 200 or 300 AD. And it was I understand all this, okay? But you understand what I'm saying too. We both understand each other without getting caught up in all of this circular nuance, okay? Don't worry, I know ball, okay? I know ball. And that the modern Jews are actually Khazarians, and Revelation, 3:13, beware of Jews who say that they're Jews but are not and do lie, and I will make them come and worship at your feet. Okay? I know ball. But just listen to what I'm saying. And maybe we'll both learn something here. So they were here to give way for the birth of our Savior, okay? And they also killed him. And now they also act Jesus Christ what did Jesus say to the leaders of the Jews, the Sadducees and Pharisees? He said, "You are the synagogue of Satan. Your father is the father of lies," basically, right? They're the bloodline of Cain, and their father is the devil. So modern Judaism is not the Judaism of the Old Testament. It is Satan worship. When Jesus died, when they killed their Savior, their new God was the devil. Okay, their new God is the devil. And modern Judaism does not exist in a vacuum. It exists as a reaction to Jesus Christ. When somebody is told evidence contrary to their beliefs or they are criticized, what do people tend to do? They tend to dig their heels in further, and they tend to reinforce the parts of their worldview that were attacked. Because what they don't care about is truth. What they care about is their ego. That is the most important thing, because they worship themselves. So Jesus Christ said what? He came here to abolish the law. He came here he did not come. So he came to fulfill the law, and he did not come to abolish it. He came to fulfill it, and then he came to preach the heart, circumcision of the heart, because outward circumcision, outward following of the laws does not matter if you don't have the inward, if you don't have the intention. What is a sin? A sin is for a man to do something he knows he should not do. Okay, but the Jews of the old Bibles, they say, "Oh, these are all sins." And Jesus says, "Okay, yeah, though that's a law, right? But in the end, a sin is also to do something you know you shouldn't do, but you do anyway." They don't negate each other. Okay, but what that means is your intentionality is the foundation. That's what matters the most, is your intentions, what you intend to do. That's not the only thing that matters, but from good intentions and a clean spirit can be built, who you want to be, the temple that you're going to be worshiping God with. But you have to first have that clean and those good intentions. That's what you have to have, because if you don't have that, everything else, if you have a bad tree, what is it going to produce? Bad fruit. No matter what you try to dress it up as, it will always produce bad fruit, no matter what. Okay? And that's just what that means. So you have the Jews who get criticized for all of these things, and guess what? They're even worse now than they ever were. And that's because they got criticized for those things. Jesus, the people who didn't convert to Christianity upon the death of Jesus, what did they do? They became Satan worshipers, okay? They became Satan worshipers. They started interpreting the law even more. You have the Talmud. They created the Talmud. And they were so pissed off about Jesus that most of the Talmud and most of the religion after that was entirely to spite. It was out of spite. Modern Judaism is a spite of Christianity. And it's an effort to reinforce their ego even more. Because they believed that their Messiah, because they're so fucking egotistical and they lack any sort of humility or self-awareness, that they believe that their Messiah, when he came down, would not criticize them. They truly believe that their Messiah, which is why their Messiah is our Antichrist, the Jewish Messiah, the whatever you want to call it, their Messiah is actually our Antichrist, because their Messiah already came. And their father is the devil. So if they are the children of the devil, and their Savior is supposed to come and validate everything that they're doing and bring the world under their heel and enslave the world to serve them, and their father is the father of lies, the devil, what does that make their savior? Antichrist. Their savior is the Antichrist. They are Antichrist. Literally. Jews are Antichrist. There's no other religion. Islam is also Antichrist as well. But there is nothing so obviously and so... Being Antichrist is part of their core criteria. They are literally Antichrist. Everything they do is Antichrist. Al Goldstein brought in hardcore pornography into the United States in the 70s and 80s, and he was asked why he did it, and he said, and I quote, "Because I hate God." Okay? Everywhere they go, they persecute Christians. And they hate white people the most because Jesus came down, got resurrected, died for our sins, and you have this beautiful religion that found its home in white people, in Europeans, in Aryans, in Caucasians, in the most beautiful people of all time. Sorry. You have those roots that were planted in us. And we made it what it is today. We took it as our own, and we conquered the world in its name, to spread its tendrils everywhere we could possibly go in its name. I know Alexander the Great already did that. Like, you could say, oh, blah, blah, blah. No, I mean, what I'm saying is correct, though. What I'm saying is still correct. Other things can be true as well, but this can also be correct, and I am correct. We took it and we ran with it. We were like, this is beautiful. This is great. We love this story. We believe this. And then the white people took it, and then it created Western civilization as we know today. They hate us for that reason, because the same person that came down and criticized them and humiliated them are still alive today. And the Jews to this day still hold a grudge against Rome for taking their menorah, against Hitler for expelling them. Every single slight that's ever been done to them, they hold a grudge for. And they hate those people because they are narcissists. What does a narcissist do when they're slighted? What do they do? What does a narcissistic culture do when they're slighted? They hold a fucking grudge. Okay, they hold a fucking grudge. And so that's what they've done since the beginning of time. We don't think the same as them, guys. We don't think the same as them. Get this out through your fucking head. And anybody who disagrees with me is objectively fucking wrong and stupid. Okay? So they hold a grudge against us. And they hate Christians. And they especially hate white people because we humiliated them. Because they're intimidated by us. And so they cast all of these aspersions at us and they label us as goyim, or they infiltrate our countries because we're the only competition that they have. You think black people are a competition to you think Mexico is? No. Look at all the countries that Jews have gotten kicked out of. It's been mostly white countries. I'm pretty sure it's been all white countries. Also because they're the only countries they probably want to go to. But they've gotten kicked out of these countries and they fucking hold a grudge for every single one of them. And they will never take accountability for it. Ever. And they'll never be like, oh, we got kicked out for... No, because they believe... Because their worldview is not centered around truth. Once again, it's centered around just like liberals, just like people on the right, on the left, just like all people who have nothing but cognitive dissonance infiltrating their brain. Their entire worldview starts with a presupposition. And that is, we are the best. We are infallible. We're God's chosen people. That is the core of their worldview. So you have that worldview, and anything that disagrees with that needs to die. Because that means that I'm not the issue. I can never be the issue. I'm God's chosen people. I create what is good. I create morality. And they believe this. That's why they're involved in that's why they're involved in education. That's why when they go to countries, they always feel like they got to change shit, because they feel like the goyim don't know what the fuck they're doing, and that they are the ones who need to come and show everybody what to do. They feel like they're the ones that need to be in power, and they feel like that's how it should be everywhere they go. And that would be okay if they were good people, and that would be okay if their ideology didn't preach, parasitism. That'd be okay if they had good intentions, but they don't. So everywhere they go, they try to completely take over everywhere they fucking go. And they're the perpetual revolutionary. You will even hear Jews talk about this. Why are so many revolutions spearheaded by Jews? Because in their blood is revolution. In their blood is revolution. The obstinate child. The rebel kid. Look at the Old Testament. So the Old Testament is them always rebelling. Always being like, hey, we know what to do. You don't, God. We're going to worship Baal. And it's the same nowadays. The same genetics, the same people are doing the same shit. Everywhere they go, they rebel. They think they know what's best. They worship themselves. They worship Baal. They worship Moloch. You have the Kabbalah. All of these things. And I'm brushing over a lot of topics. See, we can go into this forever. But I'm giving a very, very, very high-level view of the world and the Jews and the devil and why everything is the way that it is. So, where was I? So you have these people doing all of these things because they believe that they're the best. And they've gotten kicked out of all these countries, and they'll never give a reason. They'll never say that they were at fault. Because like I said, once again, when your worldview starts with the presupposition, that's why you have all these fucking crazy people, dude. That's why you see all these people on the left who are like, they fucking go crazy when their worldview is threatened. Even on people on the fucking right, dude. On both. But that's why you can't pick a team. This is why you have to be rigorously open fucking minded and dedicated to the truth, not dedicated to your worldview. You cannot be dedicated to your worldview. You cannot think with the presupposition, because then you're not thinking. What you're doing is you're constructing. But thinking in and of itself is a deconstruction of yourself. And it is a taking in, okay, of objective information. So that's what contemplation is. Contemplation is a stepping outside of yourself. Anyway, you people on the left who just go fucking crazy, they think, or people out there in general who think, okay, I have to feel comfortable. The world has to fit what I want it to fit. So what do? Anytime something that disagrees with that, which is like, say, some guy who says something offensive, some person who says that, race is real. They sit there and they get uncomfortable, and they're so fucking stupid they don't know why. All they know is that they should always be comfortable. All they know is that everybody is equal. All they know is that these different platitudes, because they're husks, they're robots, they are instruments of the will of others. They are a golem. What they are is an outpouring of a certain stream of consciousness. That's all they are. They're part of this mass of the mob, okay? They're part of the mob. They are not their own person. They are not an individual. What they are is a conduit of this ideology, of this worldview. That's what they are. And they will always act in defense of that worldview. That worldview infects them. Like software. They get their software updates. They are machines. And so when something attacks that worldview, when something tries to penetrate that worldview, they act as a mob. Almost as if there is a hive mind, because it is a hive mind. Because this worldview, when it is attacked, responds in the same way. These people who adopt this worldview are essentially a part of a hive mind. It doesn't matter what worldview it is, but especially the one that's on the left, because it is so contrary to reality that if you are always being attacked, you're always at war. The left is always at war. Not the fiscal left, okay? Not the fiscal left. I'm not talking about fiscal spending. I'm talking about the socially liberal people. The people who are socially liberal have a worldview that is so contrary to reality. They have so much cognitive dissonance in their mind that they are always at war. And those who plug in to that worldview will always respond the same way, just like a computer that has Mac, just like a computer that has Windows, will do the same thing. If you do something to it, it will always respond the same way, almost as if they're in a hive mind. But that's because they act the same way, because they all have the same programming. So they're always at war. Reality in and of itself is contrary to their worldview. So they are always aggressive. They are always at war. You got to remember this too, because this is how the Jews are. Their worldview is so contrary to reality. They view themselves as perfect, as God's chosen people. And that is so opposite to the truth. In fact, Jesus came down and told them that they're not. Our God came down in human form and told them that they were wrong. Reality in and of itself is opposed to them. So what do they always do? Jews have a higher rate of schizophrenia, neuroticism, and blood disorders, which is where vampires came from, by the way. They are always backed into a corner being attacked by reality, like liberals. To anybody who adopts a worldview that is contrary to reality and truth. They are always in a corner, always being attacked. So all of their actions stem from that. They other people. And they always try to destroy those things that attack their worldview, which it just so happens is truth. The one thing that these people hate the most is truth. And that is why they do everything they possibly can to stifle it. And also because they hate God. Because these people are narcissists and they want ultimate power. They want to be their own gods, which is why they've constructed this worldview. Which is why they've constructed their own reality. Because they want to be God. And what is God? God is truth. So they hate God, they hate truth. Two sides of the same coin. God and truth. And they are on the other end, and they hate him, and they hate truth more than anything. And they hate the fact that they can't actually create. They hate the fact that they can't actually create a world. They deep down know how powerless they really are. So what do? They try to construct this false reality that we live in now, to this day. But they construct this false reality of lies, of deception, of dissonance, contrary to what is real. And they dedicate their entire lives to immersing us in it. You do not need to change the truth. You just need to change people's perception. And how do you change people's perception? By lying to them. How do you create a neurotic, angry mob? You program them. You program them. So they've gone about their entire lives. Everything in our life is designed to program us and to push us further away from God. The more we are in their programming, remember, equal and opposite reaction, two things, polarities. You have truth, and then you have the opposite of truth. You have the world that God actually created, which technically he created all of it, but you understand what I'm saying. You have truth objectivity. And then you have this false reality that they've constructed where race isn't real, gender isn't real. And in this way, they are God. And if anything's a simulation, it's that worldview, that reality that they've constructed, and that they continue to pull us in, and that they do everything in their power possible to pull us into. That is their world, their bastardization of what God has made. You have the devil who rebelled against God. And if you hated God, what would you hate? You would hate truth. And you would dedicate your entire existence to pulling as many people away from truth as possible. That's the only thing that would matter, is making people believe lies. When a woman hates her husband, when a wife hates her husband, and they get a divorce, or vice versa, what does the bitch always do? She lies about the dad. She tells the kids, your dad's an evil man. He's a bad man. He's not a good person. He's all these things. And you know what? If they really hate him, what do they try to do? They try to destroy the children. The women always try to destroy the kids, make them gay, make them trans, make them fucking losers, out of spite for the father. So that's what Satan's done. We are his children. And so what has Satan dedicated his life to, and who is his instrument of this? It's the Jews. God chose the Jews, and Satan's like, now I'm choosing you. It's kind of poetic, isn't it? It's a little poetic. And the whole time he was trying to infiltrate him, and he did it successfully. Satan did, with the Jews. So why do you think that the Jews were always like getting fucked up and shit? Always fucking worshiping the devil, essentially. Demonic influence. They were definitely the target of a lot of warfare and attack from the devil. Satan was always trying to pull them away from God. Try to ruin his plans. Knowing that he'll never be able to. Knowing that no matter what, God's going to win. But this is the thing, is we still, even though we know things aren't good for us, we still do them. Like, I mean, he's a smart guy, but he is the he is the embodiment of ego, right? Satan is. So he might not know he might know he's not gonna win, but that doesn't change the fact that he's filled with hatred. God is all loving, Satan is all hating, right? So he might not be, he's not stupid. He's the smartest thing ever. He's smarter than you or me. He's smarter than any human being on the planet. But that intelligence, just like smart people who do some dumb shit because they have really big egos. It's like, why do you do that, bro? You're an extremely intelligent person. Why do you do these things? It's because the motives are different. Everybody has a motive. Satan has a motive, and it's spite. So his entire existence has been devoted to spiting God. And God's chosen people, my chosen people. And I'm going to use these people to bring about the end of the fucking world. And through these people, I will bring about the Antichrist. Through these people, I will embody my ego against you. Through these people, I will use these people as an instrument of enforcing my reality. Of bringing people to my side, my reality. Fuck your reality. This world, oh, that's cool. You think you're so powerful, you think you're so strong? Guess what? They're mine. You're real, yeah. You're so strong, but guess what? It doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter that you've created everything. Because I have not created, but what I've done is I've basically created another world, another reality where I've distorted everything, the upside down, where everything's the opposite. And this is where I'm bringing all your people. Anyway, So when you look at it through that lens, it does make sense. And it doesn't seem like this crazy thing to imagine that the Jews are the way that they are, that the world is the way that it is. Okay. And I'm going to talk about Jews a lot because that is a very important fucking topic and people like listening to it. And I think this whole Jewish question has been approached in so many different ways. But I feel like approaching it this way just makes the most fucking sense. It objectively makes sense. Okay? It objectively makes fucking sense. Why they are the way that they are. Why the world is the way that it is. Why is it that societies, rise and fall? Why is it that all of these fucking people on the left are fucking crazy? Why is it that the people on the right are fucking crazy? Why is it that we have a two-party system? Why is it that so many people aren't fucking honest with themselves? Why is it that, anyway? So, Western civilization is absolutely breaking down everywhere. And that's, once again, by design. People always want to say, because they start with the presupposition that everything can be explained by natural processes. Or like, just everything is like, it just is the way it is, bro. Like, it just, societies do rise and fall. There is cycles to everything. But societies don't fall in a vacuum. Societies fall because of things. And for the last few thousand years, those things have been the same. Immigration. Okay. Immigration and money. Enslavement of the people through money. And immigration. But what do you first do if you want to destroy a society? What do you first do? Well, you need to flood in a lot of fuckers. You need to flood in a lot of savages. A lot of savages. Okay? So I'm going to bring these savages into these people, into these countries, and I'm going to make them, how am I going to make these people accept these savages? Well, at first, I'll bring them in through the guise of slavery. I'll first bring these slaves in, because I got to get them in somehow. And it was a Trojan horse. That's what slavery was. The majority of people were not pro-slavery, because people always, like, we're lied to about fucking everything. And the problem is most people are literal fucking retards. So they will never critically think about anything. Because they're idiots. So, and demons, okay? So, and they're lied to about everything also. So, you have these people who, it's like, they were like, oh, we don't want to bring in fucking slaves because, number one, that's going to take away workers' jobs for white people. And what's crazy is that was literally the argument back in the day during slave times. It wasn't like every American was like, yeehaw, we're going to bring in a bunch of slaves and we're going to have them pick our cotton. We're going to buck break these boys, man. Bring in all these black people. We want infinity black people. Think about this. Does this make sense? Go back 300 years, however many hundreds of years. Yeah, let's bring in infinity black people to work for these big companies. To work for these big companies for almost for free, basically. Let's have people take our fucking jobs. Let's bring in black people to take our fucking jobs. Yeah, that makes fucking sense. The majority of people were against slavery. It took away a lot of fucking white people's jobs. And the same thing that we have with Mexican migrant workers. The same issue that we have with them bringing in a fuck ton of migrants to work H-1B visas, pay them half the amount and saturate the fucking tech market. And now when guys get computer science degrees, they can't get a fucking job in the field because they can pay some fucking Indian dude half their fucking income or half what they were going to fucking pay them. And the market is completely oversaturated with these places that are over fucking populated. And all these guys can't get, like, the fucking, being a framer, you could probably get paid twice as much being a fucking framer, building fucking houses doing all this shit, but instead they bring in all these fucking Mexicans who have a low standard of living, come here, they're willing to get paid less because there's 12 of them in a fucking house. Their bills aren't as much. They get subsidized by the fucking government. And so this guy's like, if I want to live here and have the standard of living that I'm used to, then I'm going to have to fucking, then I can't work that job because that job's only paying so much. But a Mexican comes here from fucking Mexico, living in fuck-ass Mexico, okay? Just like, for instance, for you. I don't know if you guys have ever been poor. Like, poor. I've been poor before. When you're poor, like, dude, I moved into to me, this is a nice fucking apartment. I have a fucking dishwasher and a microwave. Bro, I haven't had a microwave in like 5 years. Not because I've been poor for most of my life up until a few years ago. But bro, like having a dishwasher and a washing machine was like, I was like, oh fuck, I'm fucking I got that Arab money, homie. I got that fucking oil field money, dog. Okay? And when I was in prison, standard of living, low. Get out of prison, little things mean a lot. But then you fucking acclimate. So it's the same thing with these people. They fucking come from fucking shitty ass places, come here, and they're just willing to work for fucking less because there's 20 of them in a fucking house and they're okay living like sardines. We're not savages, okay? We want a higher standard of living. So we demand more money. And other things as well. It's not just that. But for instance, one example. So of course they didn't want fucking black people as slaves, dude. The only people who wanted black people as slaves was corporations. And who owned most of these corporations? Fucking Jews, homie. It was the Jews. It was Jewish people. Who owned the slave ships, most of them? Jewish people. Read a book by Louis Farrakhan, The Secret Relationship Between the Blacks and Jews. And also read Libido Dominandi as well, if you guys are watching this. Read Libido Dominandi and The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. And it makes sense. Study the civilization rise and fall throughout time. Anyway, so how do we get these fucking black people? How do we get this Trojan horse in here? Well, it's just slaves, homie. Okay? And then what happens? Free the slaves. Which was great. I don't think we should have slaves. Amazing. Great job freeing the slaves. Let's go get them back where they came from. But the problem is when you bring slaves to begin with, it's like it creates this moral dilemma where it's like the people who actually give a fuck. And just so you guys know, the South wasn't like pro-slavery. The South wasn't like, we love our slaves. That's not what it fucking was, you idiots. The South was like, we want the freedom to make our own fucking choices. And for you to say that we need to do this, for you to bully us into something, is authoritarian. And I'm pretty sure Lincoln even said, if I can end this war without freeing a single slave, I would. That's a quote that's gone around. It could be false. Doesn't matter. Okay. Point still stands. But what he did say was, I have the South in front of me and I have the banks behind me. The bankers, which so happens to come from a certain ethnic group, have been the pushers and movers for conflict since the beginning of time because they created money. They created fractional reserve banking. And then what they do is they go to leaders, they go to what they've created is a system of slavery. That's what fractional reserve banking is. It is slavery in the guise of society, currency, monetary policy. And so they created the blueprint for this. Like, do you see all those people, those Instagram, those people who are like, let me scale your business. Let's create systems. It's all about systems, bro. If you don't make this much money, we don't get a single profit. The Jews created a system, and they can go to, and people love power. They created a system of power that was disguised as monetary policy. And then they can go to these places, these kings, by the way, they go to these kings. That's why they've got kicked out of 109 different fucking countries, because they do this. We're going to go to these kings and be like, hey, dude, look at this. We got this thing called fractional reserve banking, bro. We know how it works. I mean, like, don't worry, we've been doing this forever. Basically, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to give you the ability to create money out of nowhere. Money out of nothing. And people are going to love it. They're going to fucking love it. They will. Everybody loves it. We're going to give you the ability to do that. And guess what? by this, we will be able to enslave the people. You will have insane amounts of money and control and power and whatever you fucking want. And we'll be able to fund your wars. We'll give you infinite fucking power, basically. Like Satan tempting Jesus. Everything you seek into yours. What do you want? So they do this. They embody the flesh, the desire, the ego, just like Satan did. Temptation for worldly power. So they go to these kings and they say, blah, blah, blah. They do this. And then guess what? The people eventually are like, whoa, this is fucking bullshit. Shit sucks, dude. It turns out we're kind of, and who are the ones, like, who's Wormwood whispering in the king's ear in Lord of the Rings? Who is that motherfucker? Because I can see both those motherfuckers causing problems. Looks like that guy is the one that this problem is really coming from. He's doing it, but he's the golem for that guy. We're kicking you the fuck out of here. And that just makes sense. Everything I'm saying is objectively true and observable. Objectively true and observable. And the problem is when you argue with Jews about this, read Mein Kampf, okay? He goes into arguments with Jews in the left and all these people who argue in bad faith. It's like, there's no point even arguing with these people. Because you'll show them the truth and they won't, it's not that they don't know, it's that out of spite for the truth, they will deny it. Okay? But what I am saying is true. Objectively. So, they release the slaves, and what do? Okay, so they think, how do I destroy this country? Banking, slavery. We're covering multiple parts of the same surface here. And then where they're like, okay, well, how are we going to make it so how are we going to make those slaves do as much fucking damage in the country as possible? How are we going to make people, because all the people making choices are all men. The men are making these choices in this society. That's a fairly strong society. I mean, we can still pollute it and we can still destroy it, but that's a very Christian and God-fearing and rational society. How are we going to make that society make bad decisions? Let's make women. Let's give women a voice. Let's give women a voice. Right? Let's give women the right to vote so they can make bad fucking choices. Let's speed this shit along. Let's give non-white people who don't give a fuck about the country, a say in what happens. Let's indoctrinate these people and tell them that those that are destroying it are actually helping them. Let's make these people fucking retarded. Let's make these people make some dumbass fucking decisions, because they've been making a lot of good decisions up until this point. These people make such damn good, these white people are so fucking good at making decisions. Probably the best ever, actually. These white people make the best decisions ever. Look at all the cool shit that they fucking make. Look at all the societies that they fucking create. Let's make these niggas retarded. And when fucking Satan came into the garden, who did he tempt first? A woman. Because when you approach the man first, guess what? When you approach the man and you're clearly evil and fucking retarded and have bad intentions, what does the man see? The man sees your true intentions. The man has red flags go off. Ding, 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 ding. I'm not going to fucking trust you. But just like Achilles has his weakness, his Achilles heel, what do? They appeal to the part of the man that is weak. The woman. That's what they appeal to. The woman. Through the women, we will destroy the man. Original sin, brother. The fall of mankind. It wasn't because of women. It's not like, oh, fuck women. Oh, I'm a chud. Like, Fuck women. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is true. You don't have to have an opinion attached to what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is objectively true. Okay. That is what happened, right? And that is what they're doing, right? Have whatever opinion you want about the shit that I'm saying, but that's what happened, and that's what's happening. So, through women, they destroy the man. And so they give them the right to vote. But then during that, guess what they do? This amazing fucking thing called television comes out. Television. That's crazy. Television is crazy invention. Think about when you never saw a screen before. And somebody created television, dude. You're like, oh, fuck, dude, this is some magic shit, homie. This is magic. You have Thomas Edison who comes up with basically and patents, and he comes up with all the inventions related to filmmaking. And then what do the Jews do? And this is true, you can look this up. What do the Jews do? They steal all of the technology. Thomas Edison is in New York. All of these patents were in New York. And all the Jews that were in New York, guess what they were doing? They were fucking stealing. So they were getting persecuted by Thomas Edison. He was trying to sue him. And they fled persecution. And they went and created Hollywood. Don't believe me? This is true. Look it up. They created Hollywood because they were fleeing persecution. Not persecution. Fuck, that's a gay word. They were fleeing the consequences of their actions in New York, which was the original Hollywood. Because they saw the usefulness of it, of being able to give people information in the most powerful format without being in front of them. They knew how powerful this medium of communication was, and they wanted control over it. And these horribly persecuted people, this diaspora, these poor little immigrants, merchants, poor widow babies, somehow were able to create a fucking massive industrial media complex in a very short, if not in a very insignificant amount of time, very short amount of time. It costs a lot of fucking money, especially back then. It cost a lot of money. And out of nowhere, they popped up all these different fucking ways they popped up all these communities, these massive complexes dedicated to creating content, to creating movies. And that's what they fucking did. And women weren't working a lot of the time. So what do women do? They watch a lot of fucking TV. They're on their fucking phones a lot. What's your grandma doing all the fucking time? She's on Facebook, okay? She's on fucking Fox News. She's doing this and doing that. Guys were out of the house working. And what were women doing? Because women are like, a guy wants to take care of a woman. We come up to you, hey, I want this. Hey, daddy. Hey, daddy. Can I get a TV? I mean, your girl comes up to you and is like, hey, daddy, can I get a TV? You're like, fuck. I'll get you a fucking TV. Just keep talking to me like that. If I get you a fucking TV, you know what you're doing for me. And I want to take care of you, but, this and that and this and that. Nothing's ever changed, right? Girl gets on her fucking knees, starry-eyed. Daddy, can I get a fucking TV? You're saying yes. Oh, I'm running into issues here. Looks like the video's cutting out on my end. Okay, we're good. Mossad found my stream. So, anyway, man, my fucking stream's fucked up. Who cares? You guys can still hear me, right? Okay, anyway, I'm gonna speed this up because I think I've been talking for like 2 hours now. I want a fucking TV. They're like, okay, let me get you a fucking TV. And guess what? They even said in the past, a TV in your living room is like having a Jew in your living room at all fucking times, okay? Because they were indoctrinating, they were using TV and media as a means of indoctrinating everybody, okay? And they create this fertile soil for subversion. Indoctrinate the fucking women, and then guess what? Now that the women are all fucking indoctrinated, because women think based on social pressure, they look at life through a lens of social acceptance, because as a symptom of their biological design. We are so different, you have no fucking idea. Just like the Jews are so much different to us because everything starts with the presupposition. For men, existence starts with the presupposition. I need to be functional. I need to be purposeful. I need to be functional. What does functional means? What does functional mean? I need to function. I need to be, okay? I need to achieve. I need to create. Now, how do I do that? What does that require? For you to actually be effective, I need to be effective as a man. I need to be effective. So our presupposition starts with that. Now, what does that require? What does that presupposition bleed into? If I need to be effective, if I need to be able to create through effectiveness, women are already given I'll talk about that in a minute. But if I need to be effective at creating shit, manifesting my will in the world, which in a sense is our form of creation, that means I need to understand the world. I need to be astute. I need to have good pattern recognition. I can't look through the world. I cannot look at the world through a lens of social acceptance, because if I do that, I will be ineffective in the world. I'll be ineffective at making the world bend to my will. I will be ineffective at manifesting my will in the world, because my mind and the world will be at odds. That is why we are the way that we are. Women already have the ability to create. They are inherently valuable. This is why, since the beginning of time, the prize and the treasure of a nation was the women. When you would conquer a warring tribe, what would you do? You would grab the fucking women. That's what you would do. And what was the entire society based around? Protecting the women. Because not only are the women, because women are the future. Women have the eggs. Women have the offspring in them. Women is your society's path to immortality. As above, so below. I want to procreate and change the world through my blood. How does a society, how does a nation, how does a people do that? Through their women. Women are a vehicle to immortality for your people. They are the future, because your children are the future. Your women already have the children in them. You fertilize it. But they are the raw material. And you fertilize. So women already are inherently useful. And with age, they decrease in usefulness. Sorry, women. We all know this. And this is why older women hate younger women. And they hate it when we like younger girls. Girls who are like 18 to 22 or 25. Oh, you're a pedophile. You're expired. Okay, you're expired. If you think me liking an 18-year-old girl is pedophilia, you're expired and jealous. Okay, because you realize that with age, your value decreases. With age, my value increases. It is fucked up that you have inherent... It's not fucked up. People want to attach whatever emotions you want to this. I'm correct. You can attach whatever emotions you want to the things that I'm saying. I am right. Your emotions do not fucking matter. You are gay. Gayer than butt sex. It is just what it is. Now, it doesn't mean I hate older women, but it just is a fact. Guys want to sit here and complain, oh, we can't... Pussy-ass dudes are a fucking issue for this. Oh, I don't... Girls are just already inherently... Do you want to be a girl? I would never want to be a fucking girl. Fuck that. I love being a man, okay? I would never want to be a girl, ever in a million years. I would rather die, okay? I'd rather die a man than live as a woman. I'd rather die now as a man than live as a woman, than live a long, happy life as a woman. because I love being a fucking man. I wouldn't be anything else. I take this burden. Every gender has their burdens, equal burdens. Yours is just the opposite of ours. Ours is we are born with no value. To God, yes. To the world, no. We are born as a young man, pure potentiality. Women are born purely valuable. They are in and of it. They themselves have value because they inherently have a purpose. Their purpose is downloaded when you buy it from the fucking store. When I buy, when they come into the world, their purpose is pre-downloaded. It's already instilled. For a man, it downloads throughout their life if they live their life properly. If not, then it goes down too. But if you live in congruence with your conscience and what is good for you and in your nature, it will go up. And that's just how it should be. It's a damn good thing. It's a damn good thing that men are not just loved for who we are, because that's gay. That's for women and children. Where is the greatness in that? Where is the greatness in that? If it was not for us having this this issue, we wouldn't spend our entire lives compensating for it. Creating countries, nations, technology, philosophy, all this. Anyway. Thank you for saying it's an amazing stream. I appreciate you. So, anyway. So that's what the Jews did. Ran away from New York, created Hollywood, and then they ended up polluting the fucking women. Because, as I explained, why we think the ways that we think. So women will see something on TV, just like, I mean, you will look at this now. You think I'm lying? Talk to your mother. Talk to other women. When they see something on TV, they don't separate that from real life. They might, if you ask them, hey, is that real life? They'll say yes. But they don't actually think that. If they are watching television shows and all of the if all the racist assholes are white people, when they go about their daily life, they're going to go around believing that. We, all as humans, live off of pattern recognition whether we like it or not. And the patterns that are displayed to us throughout our life are what creates that, is what creates that program. Men, however, have the ability, we don't always use it, but we have a higher propensity to be able to pick out and to be able to say, yeah, I'm actually not going to listen to that. Because I also have in me, besides that, I have my mind working in the background, just like all humans do at all times, trying to pick up patterns. But I also have in me a mechanism that is trying to make me effective, because I, as a man, need to be effective. So not all the time, but sometimes, more so in the past than now, you have that mechanism that is stronger than the pattern recognition. That's like, hey, that's bullshit. Okay. But women don't really have that, because they look at everything through a lens of social acceptance. Is that okay to believe? I need to be amiable and sweet and breedable. Okay? We as men, we don't want to be breedable. Okay? You don't want to be soft and fucking breedable. You don't want to be a submissive, breedable boy. Okay? You want to be a submissive, breedable girl. That's what you want to be. Okay? So, how are you going to be nice, submissive, and breedable? Is this okay to think? Is this okay for me to think? That's what a submissive, breedable person thinks. Literally. If you're a man and you think, is this okay for me to think? You are submissive and breedable. And that is a fact. Extrapolate that however you will. So that's what they did. They indoctrinated our women, and then they gave them the right to vote, and they started voting for dumb shit, as they would, as God intended. As God intended. They did woman shit, and they made the wrong decisions, as they always do almost. They can't even fucking drink enough water. Ever. Ever. And if a woman is drinking enough water, she's a man. She's a fucking dude. You're with a dude. If you're with a girl who doesn't have tummy aches and who doesn't doom scroll on her phone before she goes to bed and who is locked the fuck in, you're with a dude. Remember that. So they use that against us. And now everything's all fucked up. Because they're like, yeah, let's also give black people the right to fucking vote. Because of women. And just so you guys fucking know, okay, just to throw this in there, it's the Jews. I need to go take a piss soon. But just to throw this in there, you think Rosa Parks was just like there one day and was like, I ain't sitting at the back. Nah, man, I ain't sitting on the back. I ain't sitting in the back. I'm sitting in the front. I'm sitting in the back. Okay, if you think that just happened organically, you're an idiot. She was approached by 2 Jewish insurance agents. Okay, I can't make this shit up, bro. Okay, she was approached by 2 Jews who paid her to do this so she could sue the fucking bus company, dude. Through the law, they try to destroy truth. The Old Testament, the Torah, they try to destroy God and say fuck you to God through the law. And they do the same thing now. It's good to segregate people. Sadi. I'm going to catch a lot of heat. This is a very controversial opinion, but fuck you, dude. Okay? This is just what I think. And when I think otherwise, I'll say something different. When I think something different, I'll say it differently. But unfortunately, this is just what I think. By no fault of my own. They made me this way. It's not my fault I can just see things and I can pick up patterns. It's not my fault God made me this way. Okay, it's not my fault I see reality for what it is. Sue me. But it is my fault if I speak contrary to what I believe. Because that is a choice of mine. It is not my choice to see things how they are. However, it is my choice to lie about what I believe. And it's hard for me to lie about what I believe, okay? But I believe people should be segregated. Doesn't mean I don't like anybody. Doesn't mean I don't like people. But I cannot deny the objective truth that people operate best and are happiest, best when they are segregated. How about this? Let's add a little caveat here. Not necessarily when they are segregated, but when they are not forced to integrate. How's that? I think that is actually a little more fitting. I think people are happiest when they are not forced to integrate with other people. And that is what we are experiencing now. Forced integration. By design. With bad intentions. Intentions are what matter, right? It's not, intentions are what matter, right? Yes and no, right? There are some onesies and twosies here. Usually, good intentions breed good results. However, that is not always the case. That being said, the exception does not justify the rule. The effect of the Jim Crow laws being taken down were a net negative for everybody. Is that just because? No, well, let's talk about the intentions of that whole movement. Who were the ones leading it and what did they want to achieve? And once again, what I am saying is true. It is just right. You can look this shit up. Oh, but you're saying, I'm not trying to argue with anybody. I'm just trying to say what I believe. And if you're so curious enough, you will look this shit up yourself and you will come to the same conclusion as me. Most likely. The insurance agents approached Rosa Parks because they wanted to sue the fucking company. That's how the civil rights movement fucking started. Because 2 greedy Jews approached a black girl and paid her to cause a scene. That's literally what happened. Because they wanted to make a fuck ton of money and because they wanted to cause a revolution. A bunch of fucking issues. And that's exactly what fucking happened. Martin Luther King Jr. was also, he was put on by Jews too. His closest advisors were Jews and communists. Those were his closest advisors. Martin Luther King Jr. had his speech written by fucking Jews, dude. Okay. By communists, by Jews, by revolutionaries, by subversive people who with bad intentions. A rotten tree will have bad fruit. You will know the tree by its fruits. And I can know those things were bad because of the results, but I can also know that the fruits of them would be bad because of the tree they stemmed from. Weird how that works, right? The results were net negative and totally shitty. And also, I could have gone back in time and been like, the results of this will be shitty because the tree that this shit's coming from is bad. Malcolm X was a real ass nigga. Malcolm X didn't, the reason why Malcolm X in the beginning was catching a lot more fucking traction than Martin Luther King Jr., but the thing is, he was talking about the one thing that really fucking mattered, Jewish control. He didn't believe in forced integration. He believed in segregation. He believed in black power. Great, black power, awesome. Black power isn't going to happen through having kids with white people, through doing this. I believe, great, let's make every race as powerful as they possibly can be. Do you know the way not to do it? Is the way that we're doing it now. Because a country for everybody is a country for nobody. If you want black people to be their strongest, leave them to their own fucking devices in black countries, around black people, with black culture, and no outside influence. That's if you want black culture to be the strongest. Because if we went over there and implemented our culture under a iron fist, it would probably be a better culture. They would probably get along better, but that wouldn't be black culture. That wouldn't be the black people be at their strongest. That would be white people at their strongest. Let black people be black people. Let white people be white people in white countries, European people in European countries. That's how we are the strongest. And then we can interact with each other via trade, via tourism, all of that shit. But forcing everybody into a small fucking area isn't gonna fuck it. Anyway, so that's what Malcolm X was preaching, and that's why they fucking killed him, because he was preaching the truth. And then they propped up Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. Wow, sounds very inspirational. Just like the melting pot myth, which was also created by a fucking Jew, guys, okay? I'm not making this fucking shit up. It was created by a fucking Jew. And God damn it, dude. The whole fucking melting pot myth, Jew. That was a myth. If you read the original fucking Declaration of Independence, the preamble, all of it, it says for a European people. This country was not meant to be a country, sure it was meant to be a country of immigrants. White European immigrants, dude. Big fucking difference. And if you don't think so, you're fucking stupid. Big fucking difference. So, melting pot myth came from a Jew as well. They indoctrinate us just like a saturation bombing before you bring in the troops. That's what they do. They saturation bomb us, soften up the ground, make us lower our defenses, and then they bring in the instrument of our demise. And that's what they've done since the beginning of time, everywhere. I'm gonna take a piss. Okay. So, I'm pretty sure I've covered most everything. Why shit is the way that it fucking is. So I hope if you guys, send this to somebody who's open-minded, okay, and curious and new to this kind of shit, because, I've been in this space for a long fucking time, and I'm, objectively, I'm pretty sure that this lays out everything without going too in depth, but into very relatable terms for the average retard, okay, like myself. Okay, I'm not the type of person who's going to sit here and be like, oh well, these little tiny mechanisms. That's not my fucking expertise. What I'm good at is allegory. Relating things, making things, packaging information in a palatable manner. I am. That's the one thing I will say I am fairly good at. Is that I'm not good at getting into the nitty gritty of. I don't really have that in my tool belt. But let's see how long we've been going. How long has it been? Almost 2 hours. Sweet, been fun though. Okay, so this is the 1960s, right? The civil rights movement. We'll push forward just a little bit more. We'll keep going until modern day. Civil rights movement, bullshit, gay. Fake and gay. Okay, net negative for everybody. You have the Vietnam War. Shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have gone to Vietnam. Okay. We have World War II. Go back a little bit before that. Okay, I'll touch World War II just a little bit and dispel some of the myths with that. Give some perspective to World War II. And all of you fucking World War II nerds, which I'm sure there's going to be some autistic people watching this, World War II is obviously a very complex subject. And I'm not going to get into the complexities. But what I will get into is, once again, a broad overview. So you have World War II. Why the fuck did we get into World War II? Oh, we got into World War II because we were trying to, this is what people believe, this is the common myth. And the World War II and Holocaust myth is the center of our existence. Remember how I told you worldviews, paradigms? Those are extremely critical. Jay Dyer talks about this. Because that's the software. That is where the way you interact with the world, how it manifests. That is the soil. That is your soil. Okay? Your paradigm is, so we have this paradigm that Hitler is the worst person ever. The Holocaust is the worst thing ever. That is the center of the American, especially boomer, worldview. Hitler is the worst person ever. The Holocaust was the worst thing to ever happen. And if you start everything with that presupposition, what does that imply? Well, what did Hitler do? He persecuted the Jews. What else was he? A racist. What else was he? A Nazi. What else was he? A socialist. What else was he? A nationalist. What was Germany? Nationalist. Socialist in kind of mostly in name. Okay, they actually weren't very socialist, but also what did he do? What did Hitler do? What was the first two things he did in power which initiated the great economic miracle, which is a 10-year period that saw the highest rise in quality of living of any society since the beginning of time? What was that 10-year period? What initiated that massive parabolic spike in standard of living? Banning usury, banning porn. Okay, he did that. I'm just laying the groundwork for this paradigm here. And he was nationalist. Took pride in the people and said that and he believed in a German people, a pure German people. And that didn't mean that everybody had to be, I mean, whatever. I don't think Hitler was the best guy ever. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying truth here, right? This is what it is. He believed these things. And then also, what did he do for his people to encourage them to have children with each other and to increase the birth rate and increase national pride and the quality of life of the people and bring the people together, because a nuclear family is important. That is the foundation that the country is built on. How did he increase the strength of the nuclear family? Well, what he did was he encouraged people to get married, because what's a great encouragement to get married? I'll give you, like 10% off property tax if you get married. And every single kid you have will give you a certain deduction on property tax, and it'll go toward, the government will basically pay for your first house, your first home, the incubator for your family. And the thing is, they had plenty of money to pay for all these fucking social programs. Do you know why? Because they didn't have usury, and because people were more productive. Before he came into power, Weimar Germany experienced like 60% fucking homelessness, okay? Because there was outside entities being parasitic and destroying the fucking country. You isolate the problem, and the people can flourish. And that's what he did, isolated the problem. Porn. Simple. Porn, which implies a lot of other things. Pornography implies a lot of other things, okay? Nothing happens in isolation. Ban porn. Ban usury. Once again, nothing happens in fucking isolation. It's not that simple, but it is that simple. Ban porn, ban usury. And then he was like, hey, if you guys, the government will encourage you to have a family and start a home. Start a family and get a home. Okay. Those simple things, the country's like, the country just fucking shot up. Everybody was like, woo, I love being here. This is fucking great. My life has purpose. The shit he's doing is fucking working. Things are working. Life's actually getting better. Imagine if you guys had a fucking leader that made your life better, noticeably, in a 10-year period. Was like, holy fuck, dude, this guy came into power and now gas is $2 a gallon. I'm not struggling anymore. I can raise a family on a fucking medium wage job. What the fuck? The harder I work, the more money I make. What the fuck, dude? That's possible, guys. It's possible. It's possible to get a leader in power. People will say, oh, no. No, guys, it's literally possible to get a leader in power that makes your life better. They just don't want you to believe it's the case. And we don't believe it's the case because we've never really had one. And the only times that we ever had one they were assassinated. And they put so many different levers in place to prevent the fact that we could have a leader that actually makes our life better. So, we have this idea, everything starts on the presupposition that he's the fucking worst person ever. So that means that all of the things he did are the things that the worst person ever would do. And that also means that being anti-Semitic is the worst thing you could possibly be. And that being racist is the worst possible thing you could be. So I can go to a store, and I screamed Heil Hitler, I promise you I'd get some fucking problems. But I promise you if I went to a store and I said Hail Satan, there'd be people coming up and be like, ha, 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 man, I don't agree with you, man, but the hell yeah. Fuck yeah, dude, Hail Satan, bro. Hitler is literally viewed as worse than the devil. And that's what they've done. They've created their own worldview and immersed us in it. They've created this contrary, opposite reality to the truth and to what God created. And they said Hitler is actually the devil. Sorry. Hitler's the devil. He's actually the devil for you. God, I know to you, I know what you would like us to believe is that the devil is the ultimate evil. But no, actually, we're going to get these people to believe that Hitler is the ultimate evil in our world that we've created, that we're going to bring him in. And that the worst thing you can do is actually not like the 10 Commandments, not any of this. It's actually be racist. Be anti-Semitic. Hold Jews accountable. Have nationalism. All these things that are good. And then we're going to build everything on that foundation. And to keep the lie going, we're going to indoctrinate them every day to keep this lie going. Every day. When you go to school, you're going to go to school, bro. If you go to college, if you go and watch TV, every single day, start paying attention. There will always be at least one mention of Hitler, of the Nazis, of race, of Hitler and the Nazis, and how Hitler is the worst person. Like this myth is fucking shoved down our throats every day to keep it going. They don't allow us to pull ourselves out of it because everything's centered around that myth. And what does that myth also imply? that Jews are the center of the fucking world, because World War II was all about Jews, right? It was Jew, 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 Jew. That was World War II. In summary, Jews. So what's the center of the modern person's world? Is Jews. And what's the center of Jews' world? Jews. So you have Jews who believe that they're the most important people in the world. And then you have non-Jews who believe that, even though they might not say that the Jews are the most important person in the world, that is what we've come to believe. That the world revolves around them, even if we don't like it. The world revolves around the Jews. So we didn't actually, the majority of people in America did not want to go into war with Germany. And the majority, and many people in World War II were they were like, yeah, we don't like the fucking Jews. So guess what they had to do? They had to bomb fucking they had to allow Pearl Harbor to happen to goad us into a war. Oh my gosh, it almost seems like that's what's been happening forever. Like with the Vietnam War. I'm pretty sure the Gulf of Tonkin. I'm probably fucking wrong about this. I'm getting shit mixed up, but the Gulf of Tonkin. Like the impetus to bring us into every single war just always so happens to be something near the fucking water. For a lot of them. For those. Anyway. You have the Vietnam War, you have that. I guess that's the reason why it was called a false flag operation. It originally was because of ships committing atrocities with a different flag. Okay, this is not new. This has been happening for thousands of fucking years. And I mean, you can, if you're curious enough, you'll find the information. So you have these false flags that are used as a reason to get people in wars. You have 9/11. You have Saddam Hussein bad. You have this and that and this and that. Okay. And every single war has been, so you have every single war in the Middle East too, has been on behalf of Israel. You have World War II, blah, blah, blah. And then you have us pushing into the 90s with Desert Storm, Desert Shield. And why did we end up, people always say money. We're going to war for oil. Oil is infinite. Oil is unlimited. Okay, it's not a fossil fuel. That's a lie. It's not created through, there's all these fucking myths that people have perpetuated. This is why science is also bullshit too, because these people are also inundated with these fucking myths. Everything is permeated with it. Because people have separated philosophy from science. Intellectual curiosity. All science is a means of, most of what modern science is a means of validating answers you presuppose. So if you don't believe God is real, you're a scientist, you're going to dedicate your entire life to validating that presupposition, to validating your paradigm. Because just because somebody's a scientist or just because somebody's a researcher doesn't mean that doesn't mean that they're immune to propaganda. It doesn't mean that they don't have their own worldview that they are going to dedicate their entire life to protecting and to perpetuating their ego. They don't separate the ego from the work. It's very deep. So if you don't believe God's real and you believe dinosaurs are real, you're going to do everything you possibly can. You're going to ignore facts and you're going to ignore everything. And just like if I wanted to prove that you were cheating, a girl was cheating, I'll always, 100% of the time, I'll find out that she's cheating. If I want to find out she's cheating, I'll find it out. But if I'm just being curious, I might come to one or the other. But if I've already decided in my mind that she's cheating, I'm going to find answers for that. Just like if I've already decided that there's dinosaurs, I will find answers for that. If I want to find out that the earth is flat, I will find answers for that. And I will only seek to validate myself. Because who wants to be proven wrong, really? Very few people. And when you meet those people, they have a special glow about them. They have a special presence. But that's very rare. The people who want to, or who are actually curious. And the least curious people are people who've gone to school for fucking 8 years in an indoctrination fucking chamber and who get paid and have a financial incentive. Peer review's fucking corrupt. Anyway, going off fucking tangents here. So, we go to war in the fucking Middle East for fucking Israel, for fossil fuels, right? Fossil fuels, once again, our fossil fuels are unlimited. But really, all of that was Israel's like, Saddam Hussein's like, by the way, who got trained in the United States. And we put him in fucking power. We put Saddam Hussein in power. We did that. We created a revolution, killed the leaders, propped him up. Don't believe me? You're an idiot. Also, I have a close friend whose father literally works for the government to destabilize countries. Like, this is a real job that people have, to prop up governments. Of course that's a fucking job. And of course we do that everywhere. So we did that. And then Saddam Hussein's like, yeah, I'm going to create my own monetary system. I'm going to create my own World Bank. I don't want the World Bank. And just so you know, for the last 60 years, every single war and every single policing action we've ever been in, and it was initiated with a country that did not have a World Bank, guys. It got initiated with a country that did not have a World Bank, guys. Okay? That's weird. And after we got done, it had a World Bank. That's fucking weird. What a weird coincidence. And also, every single one has been somewhat anti-Israel, or just at least not pro-Israel. And by pro-Israel, I mean Israel's golem, submissive bottom boy, like we are right now. Because what they want is total control and subservience, because why wouldn't they, from the goyim? If you believe that everybody else is cattle and here to serve you, why are the goyim not doing what we say? Let's make them do what we say. They're goyim after all. They're our cattle and our slaves, and they're here to serve us after all. So we should do everything we possibly can to make that make them do whatever the fuck we want. So that's what they did. Destroy the country, kill all the people, as many people. Basically, do what we do now, just on what they're doing to us, just on a shorter time frame. Go in there, put a leader in place, and then give them a fucking World Bank, so they have a means of controlling the people through slavery, through manipulating the monetary policy and the money. Just as a good insurance policy. They're all different tendrils of the same fucking problem. So we did that with Saddam Hussein. We did that with Gaddafi. We're doing that now with Iran. We're trying to, but the problem is Iran is a natural fortress. And they have a very pure people. Why are they a very strong people? And is all the stuff that we're getting told about them, is that true? Obviously it fucking isn't. If you are still so fucking indoctrinated where you believe what you get told by state media about other countries, like there's nobody who's more pathetic than the fucking Fox News dad who sits on his fucking lazy boy chair, rocking back and forth, getting fucking pissed off about shit that he sees online and just basically getting downloads. That's the most pathetic type of fucking person. Truly, the most pathetic type of person. If I'm pro-euthanasia, it is for that type of person. I am pro-work camp. Pro-re-education camp. Send them there. But that's the most pathetic. I mean, you guys all have a family member like this, and you're like, oh, fuck, what's wrong with you, dude? Fucking disgusting. So, Iran is not like that. Iran is not like what they tell us. They're a very culturally and racially homogenous people. They're very strong. And they live in a very fortified area. And they have the Strait of Hormuz. We're not winning this fucking war. If we did a ground invasion, we would lose. Handily. Not because we don't have a stronger military, but because that's not what fucking matters in this scenario. We can't just muscle our way through Iran. The only way we could do that is with nuclear weapons. That's the only way we could do that. And that's why they want a fucking nuclear weapon. So we, on behalf of Israel, can't bully them into doing whatever the fuck they want. Wouldn't you want a fucking nuclear weapon? Long live Iran, homie. I pray they come out on fucking top, dude. Because we basically lost this. And you already know Israel's not going to be fucking happy with this. Israel's not going to be like, oh, I guess we lost. No, the reason why we got into this in the first place was because Israel didn't want to be contested in the Middle East. They want to be able to have free reign over the Middle East and eventually the world. They want to bring the world underfoot. And they believe who's going to help them with that? Their Messiah, our Antichrist. They want to bring about, that what the Zionist goal is, and you can't separate Zionism from Jews. It's not, people say, oh, it's Zionism, not Jews. It's like, what the fuck is Zionism? It's a pro-one world Jewish government. That's what Zionism is. What the fuck? How are you going to say it's not Jews, it's Zionists? Motherfucker, it's Jews. It's Israel. It's Jewish supremacy. It's the Jewish mindset. Because Israel didn't always exist, but these problems have always been. They've always been causing problems. They've always been doing what they're doing now. Now they just have a country where we can direct a more pointed criticism at. But these problems didn't just start in 1948 with the Balfour Declaration. They were doing this shit before 1948. Or was it 1947? I believe it's 1948. They've always been doing this for thousands of years. So it's not Zionism. It's a Jewish problem. I would not want to be with a woman I ran. One style, their job. Well, it's a good thing that your fucking opinion doesn't matter, woman, okay? I think, great. Let them do what the fuck they want. And also, you should wear a fucking hijab. Okay? Israel already had... Dude, Israel is nuclear capable. What do you mean you assume they're already nuclear capable? Israel's been nuclear capable since the 1970s when they stole American nuclear material. And that's what JFK was talking about. I've watched Europe. I watched that a long time. Europe, and I've watched all of it. But, bro, yeah, are you new to the fucking party, homie? You're new to the party? You're thinking that you assume that Israel's nuclear capable? Hey, wake up, homie. Wake up. Joe Biden. Wake up, Joe Biden. They've been nuclear capable for 60 years, nigga. Okay? JFK, they fucking stole American nuclear material in the 1960s, enriched uranium and shit. This is a fact. Oh, okay, you mentioned about... Oh, dude, yeah, so the Yom Kippur War. Wait, so there's the 6 Day War. Is that also the Yom... Well, okay, well, it was given to them, but it was basically stolen. They stole it with our help, with a few people's help in our government. So them in cooperation with some people in America stole it. Need my opinion on Europa: The Last Battle? Great, watch it. I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff I've said has been, I mean, dude, so Europa: The Last Battle is great to watch and all. I think The Greatest Story Never Told is better. But Europa: The Last Battle, I think it's amazing that a couple autistic people with some low-level editing software can come up with something like this. Like, that's great. I love autistic people. Like, not like that, oh my God, I'm stimming autistic people. But like the fucking, actually autistic people. Like people who like trains. But, yeah. Nuclear weapons. And then, so, do you know what they did during the fucking 6 Day War? Oh, actually, the Yom Kippur War, also the 6 Day War. So they brought out, like, they were getting overran. You have Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all these fucking surrounding countries who hate them. It's like, why does everyone hate me? Like, if my neighbors always hated me, like, I would look into myself and be like, why the fuck do my neighbors hate me? But they don't have that. Like I said, we don't think the same as them. Different programming, different people. We can't expect us. We can't put ourselves in the Jewish brain. We can only imagine. I'll do a list of my top vitamins. It's a little bit fucking off topic, homie. Little off topic. But you can't put yourself in their fucking shoes. So it's fucking weird. It's like trying to put a fucking program designed for Linux on a Mac. Not working. So anyway, what was I saying? Israel bad. You guys fucking distract me with that fucking vitamin shit, dude. I was on one, dude. I was on a fucking train, homie. Oh, yeah. Yom Kippur War. They're losing. And they're like, hey, They bring out the fucking nuclear weapons and they're like, hey, America, if you don't fucking send us shit, if you don't help us out, bro, we're nuking everybody. And obviously that would be bad for us, right? They would start a world war. So we're like, fuck, we'll help you. Airlifted them a bunch of shit and saved their ass. They do the motherfuckers, bro. What a bunch of fucking cocksuckers. So they did that then, and they always have that option in the back of their, like, they'll never, like, Israel will never, like, they're never going away. They're never going away. Not possible. They're never going away. I know some people out there would be like, oh, you know, I'm going to turn Israel into Wasreal. It'll never happen. The only way that'll ever happen is if the world's ending. And if the world's ending, that means that the Antichrist is here and that Jesus is coming back shortly after. So it's the last of our worries, guys. If Israel was about to go down, then they're nuking everybody. They're nuking everyone, starting a world war. Because the world revolves around them. And what's the point of the war? What's the point of the world if they're not there? You know? Revolves around me. Well, why are you guys aren't fucking, you guys are here for us. So if we're going down, we're fucking taking you guys down with us. No, my pet, God damn it. This is why women shouldn't be allowed in men's spaces ever. Because look at this. Does your line of peptides offer any gummies? I can't do needles. And if I was a fucking weak man, if I was a fucking massive Jewish company, I'd be like, yeah, we're going to offer gummies. And then everything would just go downhill from there. We're going to offer some fucking peptide gummies. I'm not going to offer fucking peptide gummies ever. Okay, if you can't inject a fucking peptide, number one, you shouldn't be even like, well, you don't care about yourself enough to fucking get past a little bit of a fucking pinch. What's more important to you? The benefits as a consequence of something you're doing, or just a little prick? A little bit of... Shut the fuck up. I don't understand that. I can't do needles. It's like, are you a baby? Do you always forego really good things because of small, like the easiest thing to do is to go through a little bit of pain. Like I can't imagine being that fucking weak. Where I can imagine how good a certain peptide is, like BPC, I'm not gonna say every peptide, but let's say BPC 157. Like I could not imagine a world where I would make a decision to not inject BPC 157. I can't imagine a fucking world. So there are topical fucking... Yeah, so only a few peptides are actual bioavailable through the gut lining. And the one I know for sure is fucking BPC 157 because it's found in the gut lining. That's like where its home is. But you have to understand, woman, I'm gonna tell you a nice little bit of advice. If you're taking something that's meant to help you, like actually help you in your mouth, it's either not going to work. And there's exceptions, but it's either not going to work, and if it works really well, it destroys your livers and kidneys. It destroys your liver and kidneys. If something that you take orally is working profoundly well, it destroys your liver and kidneys as a general rule. So these oral GLP-1 agonists and shit, and the oral ones, yeah, I guarantee you it's destroying people's kidneys and livers. And this shit hasn't even been fucking studied really. As a rule of thumb, if you inject it, it probably fucking works. Okay? The shit that really works, you inject. Because let's be honest, it's not natural. Like it's a very unnatural thing to inject something into your body. It just is. Okay, and your stomach is gonna fight against that. Your stomach's like, yeah, let's not fucking put anything that can actually work in here because we don't really know what it fucking does. Let's just fucking, as a general rule, scorched earth everything that isn't, bioavailable. That isn't like, food. That isn't like nutrients that we've been having for thousands of years, as a general rule. So if you're trying to swallow something that's supposed to make your fucking dick bigger, it's like, oh, this isn't a part of our normal diet. Let's fucking destroy it. We don't really have anything that's this was made in a lab. If it was made in a lab, it's probably not very bioavailable in your stomach. So if you inject the places that you want, okay, so if you do inject shit, guys, which you should inject shit if you do anything. So if you're doing peptides, which I would recommend highly, BPC 157 as a general rule. 500 micrograms a day minimum. 250 you can, but I mean 500, 250 I use in the morning, 250 or micrograms in the morning, 250 micrograms at night. And you want to inject BPC 157 because when you inject it, it becomes systemic. If you're just taking it orally, that's great for stomach issues, but it even operates better when you inject it for stomach issues. So you want to inject it. So there's about, 100 micrograms or 100 micrograms per milliliter, or not per milliliter, per cc. So 100 micrograms per cc. So when you're injecting 10 microgram or 10 cc's, it's 10 or 100. Sorry, fuck, I'm all over the place. I'm not in a math mood. 10 cc's is 1,000 micrograms. So you inject 5 cc's into your ass, upper glute, subcutaneous, using an insulin syringe. Get a 29 gauge, half-inch insulin syringe. That's what you should inject everything with. If you go any bigger, you're kind of a fucking retard. For anything, really. Unless you're trying to do intramuscular. But if you're doing subcutaneous, half-inch, 29 gauge insulin syringes, and if you can't inject a fucking 29 gauge, half-inch insulin syringe, I'm sorry, but you are the fucking weakest person who's ever lived. You are a fucking pussy. You can do, what do you mean? So, Kelly, you can inject. So, Jonathan, I'm sorry, but if you can, I can't. This is what he said, guys. Talk about things that help against mind fog and help us think clearly. You once spoke about imagine an apple spinning, and you were right. I can't picture it. So you have what could be aphasia. And aphasia infects or is present in roughly 30% of the population. And aphasia, so you have different levels of aphasia. And aphasia basically means an absence of mental imagery. So, but if you can imagine kind of like if you do have mental imagery, you might be able to develop it. And one way you develop that is through thinking, imagining things. And if you're doing stuff all the time, like watching images, if you're on your phone all the fucking time, then you're not really working that muscle. You're not really promoting that imaginative state. So so I'm not going to really be able to talk about that. So you might be kind of cooked. But to help with brain fog, I'm going to get into like the best things that you can take. And I'm going to get into pharmaceuticals as well. Pharmaceutical drugs that you can get prescribed. I would recommend getting prescribed. So people like SSRIs, I agree. Like the pharmaceutical industry is bad. Like there are most SSRIs, all this shit is bad for you. But here's the thing. If you research this shit and you take everything with a specific purpose in mind, and it does that purpose, and you are aware of the negative side effects, and you are willing to sacrifice it, and if you're willing to deal with the consequences, then that's okay. That's everything in life. Just don't blame anybody but your fucking self. Don't blame the fucking doctors. Don't let the doctors be responsible for your fucking well-being, okay? But if you want to optimize, if you want to be truly optimal mentally, I'm going to tell you what you fucking need to do. Clip this. Even though there's only 15 fucking people watching, it'll probably only get 100 views. Okay, if you want to be optimal mentally and get rid of as much brain fog as possible, you need to get on a consistent sleep schedule. You need to do at least 30 minutes of cardio a day. Wim Hof breathing. And I'm saying this is optimal. And this is what would be absolutely optimal. I'm not saying I do all of this. I do almost everything I'm about to say. And my brain fog is getting a lot better now that I'm getting back in the groove of things. Like right now I feel pretty fucking locked in. Wim Hof. Look up Wim Hof on YouTube, WIMHOFF, and this is a breathing exercise. It takes 10 minutes. And what this is going to do is this is going to increase the oxygen in your blood, among other things. More oxygen, more brain power. And then also what you're going to do, like I said, get some sleep. Get a consistent sleep schedule. Get 8 hours of sleep a night. Wear mouth tape. Get nose, get fucking the nose tape, the fucking nose dilate. Get a nose, some sort of nose dilator, something that opens your nose if you have issues with that. Breathe right strips work. Mouth tape, breathe right strip. Sleep for at least 7 hours. When you wake up, have some protein, mostly protein, and then do 30 minutes of cardio. Like what I did today was I rode my bike for 20 minutes to the gym, and I did a hard and fast leg day. I rode my bike 30 minutes back, and then I have six hard-boiled eggs every single day. Have 6 hard-boiled eggs every single day. This is what I do. And hard-boiled eggs are great for brain function. They have fats, they have omega-3 fatty acids, they have a lot of things that promote brain health. And then have, a good diet, which consists of eggs, meat, spinach, Greek yogurt, vitamins and minerals. Download an app called Chronometer, Chronometer. Okay? Track your calories and your protein with that. Mostly what that's good for is tracking your micronutrients, making sure you're hitting all of your micronutrient targets every single day too. So get all the nutrients that you fucking need, because it doesn't matter how many pharmaceuticals you're taking. It doesn't matter everything else if you're not getting the proper fuel for your brain. You're not getting the proper materials to have proper brain function. So we're getting more oxygen. We're getting proper nutrients. We're getting proper sleep. Great. Now let's do some drugs. Okay. So you're going to get caffeine and L-theanine. So 200 milligrams, don't overdo it with the caffeine for your pre-workout because you're going to have a massive dip. 200 milligrams for caffeine is fine. 150 is fine. And cardio, all that stuff makes your brain better. Makes you have less brain fog. Drink a fuck ton of water. L-theanine is amazing. Alpha GPC. Okay? And just take the recommended daily dose of these things. Creatine, 5 grams of creatine every day. It's a nootropic. Creatine's great for supporting brain function. Take 5 grams of creatine every single fucking day. Doesn't matter what form you take it. Just get regular micronized creatine monohydrate. 5 grams a day. If you take it all at once, sometimes it can fuck your stomach up. So you can take it throughout the day. Doesn't matter really when you take it. Just make sure when you're taking it, you're increasing your water intake because there is going to be a higher load for water. Water is highly important, women. Sorry, I think you're just fucking cooked. This is mostly to men. As I said, the base what you're working with matters most. And girls, I'm sorry. Mostly kidding. So we're doing all these things. Go to your doctor and ask for a couple drugs. And these are the drugs that you're going to ask for. Fluvoxamine at 25 milligrams a day. Oh, but SSRIs are bad. Yeah, they can be. But there's three SSRIs that are neuroprotective. And if you take things at a microdose level, like the minimum effective dose for fluvoxamine is 50 milligrams a day. I take 25 milligrams. And what that does is it's neuroprotective and neuroregenerative. It'll reduce oxidative stress in your brain. And you're not going to get the SSRI side effects, but you will notice a slight cognitive increase. And you will notice a very small, especially just keep it at 25 milligrams a day. You shouldn't. The goal is to not be feeling drugs. Like if you're feeling an SSRI, that's a fucking problem. Your doctor's gonna be like, "Oh, fluvoxamine's a weird drug. Like nobody ever gets prescribed that anymore." But fluvoxamine, like I said, is one of 3 SSRIs that are neuroprotective. There's fluvoxamine. There's fluoxetine, also known as Prozac. Fluvoxamine is known as Luvox. You have Luvox that got discontinued after the Columbine shooting, mostly because it got a lot of bad press because all the Columbine shooters were on fluvoxamine based. And so everyone started pushing the Luvox. So Prozac is a lot more of a powerful drug, has a lot more of erectile dysfunction that is paired with it, a lot more just negative shit that gets paired with it. Like, it's just not... I've taken both before because I've taken a lot of pharmaceuticals. I've also been totally off everything for most of my life. And as for like the last 3 years, I've been experimenting with nootropics and all of this shit because I'm like, why not? And I feel good without them too. Like when I was in prison, I wasn't on anything. I didn't get asked to get prescribed anything. I go plenty of periods in my life without getting anything, and I'm totally fine. But I like this shit because I like being optimal, and this shit does ramp up certain things. And I like it. I just enjoy it, honestly. to be totally frank. So fluvoxamine. If you tell a doctor's like, oh, why? You're like, it's neuroprotective. It reduces. It's the one of the only fucking SSRIs or drugs out there that has been shown to decrease the amount of intrusive thoughts that you have. You become a little bit less all over the place, like by like 5%, 2%. It's barely noticeable, and it does make you, because of as a symptom of that, it makes you a little bit more sociable. And when you get off of it, if you're on 25 milligrams, you don't get brain zaps, dude. Like, you don't even notice it when you get off of it. It's giving you like a 2 to 5% boost. But the fact is that it is neuroprotective. It reduces oxidative stress, which will increase mental clarity. That's the biggest reason why I take it. And then I take modafinil. Okay, modafinil is a nootropic. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but all the people in Silicon Valley are taking modafinil. They're not taking Adderall. Adderall makes you horny. It makes you anxious. It makes you it makes you addicted to it. It has so many fucking negative side effects. It's good for some things, but whatever Adderall does, modafinil does just as well, if not better, almost as well in certain things, and better in others. And the areas that it doesn't do as well in, it does even better in other areas. And it's also, emerging studies have shown that it is also neuroprotective, and it reduces oxidative stress in your brain. So it's like, it's not only helping you stay awake and more focused and reducing brain fog, but it's also protecting your brain while you're on it. So if you take something, it can't just be a net negative. Like Adderall is just a net negative. Sure, it'll make you feel good while you're on it, but while you're off of it, you're suffering the negative side effects of when you were on it. That's not like that with modafinil. It has residual positive effects that stay with you. Okay? It doesn't mean that like there's no modafinil come down. You just go back to being a little bit tired. Modafinil doesn't make you geeked and super awake. Super cracked out. But what you will notice with modafinil is it just makes you not tired. That's the best way to put it. It just makes you not tired, and you don't get geeked out, and you don't want to just sit there and fucking crank your dick all day. I don't care who you are. If you've taken an Adderall before, you know what I'm talking about. You just want to sit there and jerk off all the fucking time. It doesn't mean that you do. Like, when I was taking it before I got locked up, I wasn't jerking off. I was having video calls with my girlfriend at the time, and it was pretty fucking depraved, bro. Because I was like, I'm not watching porn, but I was like, bro, hours a day, video calls, cranking it out. It was bad. Okay, so there's a lot of negative side effects to fucking Adderall. And it's, if you have an addictive personality, you abuse the fuck out of it. But with modafinil, it's like, why do I want to? There's a massive threshold. It's like, if you take too much, you just get tired and you don't want to do anything. And you don't get high from it. So you don't want to just keep taking a bunch to get high. There's no high to seek. So modafinil, 200 milligrams a day. Start at 50 milligrams and don't take it before noon. It's great. So there's modafinil. Like I said, in alpha GPC in the eggs, because what it does do is all these things complement modafinil, like taking alpha GPC, having eggs, making sure you have vitamin B12 or getting plenty of vitamin B12, because it will increase your brain function. It increases blood flow to your prefrontal cortex. And your brain requires a lot of energy. Chess masters can burn up to 1,000 calories. So now the viewership has gone down. See, not as many people are interested in this shit, guys. Not as many people are interested in this shit. I'm going to end the stream here in a few minutes after I talk about this. So, you take all this shit, alpha GPC, vitamin B12, fucking all that, have a good diet, take modafinil, and do, some shit that makes your brain work. And honestly, that's like pretty much the best thing to reduce brain fog. All that shit put together. Long-winded way of saying, eat healthy, track everything with chronometer, make sure you get enough water, make sure you're very physically active, making sure you get good, consistent sleep, and use your brain. Read for at least 10 minutes a day, have engaging conversations, and work your brain. Hey, Rim Nasiri. It doesn't necessarily mean... Yeah, anyway, some men don't have... What are you on? So, stop arguing in the fucking shit, okay? Just don't argue. You gotta understand, Kelly is like sitting here playing, she's fucking with you guys. If you guys aren't retarded enough to see that she's fucking with you, you're retarded. She's like, I'm just a woman. Just don't take this chick seriously. She's not serious about anything in these fucking chats. But, all right, guys. Good fucking stream, man. I had a really good fucking time. I feel like that was better than my other ones. I feel like it was very productive. My peptide stuff, I mean, dude, I keep getting, like, everyone just keeps pushing everything back. The shit's in the work, but in the works, but everything's just taking so fucking long. It's fucking bothersome. But it'll be here. And when it is here, I'll give you guys all the info for my peptides, and I'll be making more information about peptides so you guys know what to take and all that fun shit. And also, there are peptides to help with mental clarity, but I don't want to get too much into peptides because people are going to be like, oh, you're just trying to sell your peptides. So I'm just simply not going to do it. If I do that, it's going to be on a different channel and it's going to be faceless. Like, I'm not going to put my face behind it. Because I really don't want to sell anything to you guys. I want to have things that are so good they sell themselves. But I don't want to fucking sell peptides, bro. Because realistically, optimally, like, I would encourage people who don't have any issues to not take anything, even supplements. Like, if you don't have a reason to take something, you should not take anything. Okay? But if you do have problems, certain peptides are a good way to take your health into your own hands. If you want pre-workout, my pre-workout is a great one when it is finally ready. But I don't want to sell shit to people. You know what I mean? I don't want to be Jewy and be like, hey, I don't want to convince you to fucking buy shit. I'd rather just not make money than to sit here and create a problem for people that they don't already have. Though if you already have a problem, I'd be happy to have something to help you out with those problems. That's why being a personal trainer for me was not very, because I didn't want to sit here and convince people that they needed a personal trainer when all they really needed to do was eat less and move more. Certain people do need personal trainers, and I would take those people on. But I would be like, I'm going to tell you everything I know. I don't want to work with you after 3 fucking months, because if I'm working with you after 3 months, that means you're not listening to the fucking shit I'm saying, and therefore I don't like you. I'm not trying to be your babysitter forever. I'm trying to get you out of the nest and have you fly. That's how I am. And maybe I need to change that so I can make more money. And that's something that I'm working on. But as who I am right now, I would rather just not make money. But yeah, I'm not going to sell these fucking peptides. If you guys really want to, all I'm going to do is offer you guys a good, reliable, trustworthy source for them, because it is hard to find them online, genuinely, and you don't know if they're trustworthy. So I'll put my name behind them. Well, not actually, but if you have a problem with it, you have someone to complain to, me, and somebody who can actually fix the issues, me, and somebody who can get you the certificates of analysis, me, and somebody who you can shame online and put under their comments that they're a fraud and whose life you can try to ruin, me. So I do have some skin in the game, which makes the source a little more trustworthy, right? So I know they're trustworthy, and therefore, and you guys trust me, so therefore, and there's some recourse for you if they're not good. And so that's what it's all about. And so I'll give you guys the source for them. It is up to you guys, with everything in life, to do the research, not out of nowhere. What you should discover is what issues you have. Don't just be like, I want to take peptides because I like drugs. Everyone likes fucking drugs, but that's not a good place to come from. What you should do is, man, what parts of myself would I like to not fix? That's coming from a bad paradigm. What parts of me, not am I trying to fix, but what parts of me would I like to improve? I love who I am. I'm happy with who I am. But what parts of me would I like to improve? How can I make myself more effective? And then things stop becoming a crutch. They start becoming tools, right? Because you're okay the way that you are. So what tools can I utilize to increase my effectiveness in the world? My knees are fucked up and ineffective. What can I do? And then you just go about finding different tools. And peptides, if they are that tool that you come to the conclusion as being proper and beneficial to you, and you've done enough research about them, well, here you go. I have them right here. So there you go. Yeah, bro. I'll keep doing these, bro. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, homie. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think today's topic was good, dude. I operate best when I'm not just trying to be funny. You know, like with for short form content, it's great because I can sit there and be like, hey, this is funny. This is funny. And I could just like everything for my short form content on Instagram was all spur of the moment, stream of consciousness. I was just on walks and I'd be like, oh, this is funny. Let's do this. But that's not when I operate my best for long form. My long form content, if I try to force the funniness, it just ends up being kind of fucking gay. So this is probably what I did today is probably going to be, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I think today was genuinely a good fucking stream, bro. I think that was a good locked in fucking stream. We're going to do more like that. We'll see. I might try something else. I'm thinking about doing for one day a week. I was going to do just Q&As. So I want to set up a platform where people like I want to get paid, honestly, guys. So sorry, I'm going to be a little bit of a Jew here, but I want to get paid through content, and I think I'm going to start developing a way to do that. And one of those is going to be through like paid, like the Q&A is going to be like a minimum buy-in of like $1, and then eventually like $5. I'll never go above $5 for a buy-in for a question. But what it also does is like, okay, what actually would I like to know about? It puts some skin in the game for you. And then it also goes to me, who you like, right? So, and if you don't, then there's a reason why you're fucking watching my content. And I do everything for free, right? Not that I put out a bunch of valuable shit, but some perspective here. So I'm gonna make. I don't know exactly what platform I'm gonna use for it, but it'll be like a $1 super chat and you ask me a question. So I'm not filled with so much dumb shit too. And give people something because like you want to watch good shit, right? And if a bunch of idiots are coming in and asking dumb fucking questions that are useless or whatever, then it's not as fun as shit to watch, right? You want me to operate at my best and deliver you guys some entertaining shit. One way to do that is by putting a freaking paywall behind questions. And also because of that, I'll give you guys much better, more in-depth answers, and it'll be far more entertaining. So, is it tax deductible? I mean, yeah, you could say that you're donating to kids with mental disabilities, to the retarded. That you donate to the retarded. I'm sure there's a way to spin that. So. And that's going to be, I think, on one of the days a week, it'll be a dedicated Q&A. And then one of the days a week will be like this. You know, just a fucking in-depth ramble topic about something. And these days I'm going to make sure I'm really fucking locked in, that I'm up for a few hours. Like I'm everything fucking locked in so I can come out, I can bring forth my best on those days, right? Because this is going to require me to be fucking, boom, stream consciousness, no brain fog. And then one of the other days a week, I'm not sure, man. I'm thinking about doing a little bit of reading, maybe some current events, a little bit more of an interactive thing. So one day is like, cause if I do the same thing every day, it might get a little boring. I'm gonna try to experiment with that this week. So I think Wednesday I'm gonna try to put up some material. We throw current events on here. I'll play some popular Instagram videos or social media content, and that'll be like a lot of commentary. And then Fridays will be the Q&A. But cool, man. I appreciate you guys. God bless you. Stay motivated. Remember, you're capable of fucking absolutely anything you put your fucking mind to, as gay as it sounds. Okay? So do something fucking cool today. Do something that makes you nervous. Do something that makes you scared. If you want to do something, if you have in your mind the desire to do something, what you should do is you should do a little bit today that either brings you toward that goal or is that something. Just a little bit, even if it's just a couple minutes, so your life doesn't feel so hollow and empty. All right. Appreciate you guys.